Hello, and welcome to Authors Amplified. I'm your host, Stephanie O'Neill. My show is a part of the Amplified Podcast Network, where ideas echo and voices resonate. With over 20 years at Christian Television Network, I've had the privilege of meeting countless talented and spiritual individuals, and it's too inspiring not to share. I'm just a girl who loves Jesus wholeheartedly. I'm eager to learn and grow, and I'd like you to join me on this journey. In each episode, I'll be speaking with Christian authors who will share their stories and insights about the books they've written. I'm thrilled to have you with us, so let's get started. Welcome to Authors Amplified. I am so excited about the guest in our book today. If you know me at all, you know that one of my favorite things is Christmas. So yes, we're going to talk a little bit about Christmas in the middle of the summer, and that's okay because I think we need to plan all year for the best holiday ever. So today we have Taylor Turner. She has a book, From Manger to Messiah, an Advent Family Bible Study. So welcome, Taylor. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I mean, this is just right up my alley. I love it so much. The book is great. Let's talk a little bit about you first and your ministry. So tell us about Taylor.
So, I taught for 12 years. This is kind of what led me into my I Know I'm a Ministry brand. So just working with kids, older kids to be exact, eighth grade and ninth grade, and just really seeing the hurt and the need, for Jesus in their life. And as a teacher, we really can't, expand on that in the classroom. We have a job to do, but, my students always knew, I was the crazy Jesus teacher that, played music, Christian music only. And, they knew if they needed a prayer or anything that they could come to me. And, I'm never going to push it on you, but I'm going to pray for you and I'm going to love you. And so these kids just really, they lost. And I felt like I was kind of burning myself out, just caring and loving. And so for me, I felt like the need for this brand needed to be reached to families because I can do everything in the classroom that, you know, I felt like God had called me to do. But in the end, I felt like, they're going home back to this environment. And that's where it needs to start. It needs to start with their families. It needs to start, with their moms talking to them about Jesus because there's only so much I can do. And I feel like the impact as a mom and a dad or, an aunt and an uncle is much stronger. So I Know a Mom is a Christian mom brand ministry, for families to either represent faith-based products, not be ashamed to show that they love Jesus and also books and Bible studies that I plan on creating more of just to help families and guide them and bring them closer to each other in Christ. Because I feel like families nowadays, we just don't talk in general, technology and everything. And so I think talking is so important and not just talking, but talking about Christ, So the whole brand and the ministry is based on Proverbs 22:6, train up your child in the way that they should go. And when they're older, they won't depart from it. And I feel like that's so important. And everything that God has called me, to produce or, speak, it's for me first. Like I'm, I'm not here to judge anybody because I have my own mom struggles, and just things that I'm dealing with that God's dealing with me to, and then, sending out to everybody else to, share so that hopefully it could help somebody else too. But that's kind of where I Know a Mom comes from. It's, a teacher who saw some lost kids and realized, this is my last year teaching because I really wanted to focus on this, but just, I really want to reach families. I really want God to be brought into the home and just talking to, families that already do this and then families that aren't confident, they're like, well, I just don't know the Bible. It's too hard and how could I speak to my kids about that? And I get that because as a teacher, if you don't know a topic, you can't teach it. And the kids are going to know. They're going to be like, oh, yeah. So, I just, with this Bible study to start off with, I hope it makes it easier on the parents that aren't as confident, and I've had some people reach out there like, oh, I love that, it gives us tips and kind of goes over, and it's a simplified version because I think everybody naturally goes to King James and
Yeah.
they're like, what's happening? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on here? So that's kind of the whole I Know a Mom ministry brand
So it's,
in a
and
nutshell. Yeah.
we'll clarify. I Noah, Noah, I know
Yes.
mom. So just so
Yes,
that
like Noah's
father,
Ark.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love Noah's Ark. Me and my kids, yeah, so I was like, ooh, this is so catchy and cute. I was like, I love this. I love
Yeah.
a good pun. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can all use, all the moms especially, can use all the help we can get.
yes,
One of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast, number one, I think we've lost the art of reading, especially just
yes.
like a physical book because of,
Mhm.
social media and phones and everything. But also, I want parents getting reading to their children again, like taking a few minutes at night and just maybe instilling the love of reading into their kids. So that was one of the reasons. So this is like the perfect example of
Yes.
how you can do that because this book
Yeah.
helps you along the way. And I want to talk about some other things that are in the book that help you. But first, let's start off with what inspired you to write this book, From Manger to Messiah, an Advent Family Bible Study.
So this started with my kids. Like I said, I love Christmas. And so I was trying to find ways to put Jesus more into Christmas because, sometimes it gets overtaken by other things. And I had read somewhere, I don't remember exactly, but they're like, if you read Luke a chapter a day with your family, you've read the book of Jesus, and this is what Christmas. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. And my daughter was 1 at the
Mhm.
time. So, I started reading it, and then me and my husband, we got together and I was like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to read the book of Luke, and he was very new into his faith, and him and his daughter. And he's like, okay, like whatever you want to do. So we'd read it. And I have some Advent calendars for the kids, for my daughter and for Nadia, my stepdaughter, with like jewelry and stuff. And so the deal was we read the chapter and then you get your Advent prize for the day or whatever. And so we did that for about 2 years. My daughter was probably 3 when I was just kind of like, this, I feel like this is pointless. I feel like nothing's getting out of us. None of us as a family, we're not talking about it. We're just reading it and then we're moving on. And so I started kind of like jotting down some like kid friendly questions and um, just trying to find like little things to do with my daughter, to kind of just be more engaged and talk about it. And at first, of course, she's like, okay, well, where's my calendar? I just want my prize. And I'm like, no, like we're gonna talk about it first, and so I just started writing these questions down and I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be such a good idea, And so and of course kids love activities. So now the incentive, we don't do the calendars anymore. The incentive is the activities that go with each day to get them done. And I feel like this can be used every year because it really goes with what's going on in, your kid's life, in your life. And so that changes,
Mhm.
and I feel like it just applies to our life and that how we can talk about that, even from a 3-year-old perspective, like a 4-year-old. And my daughter's 6 now. And some of the stuff that she says and that she's going through, I don't even know until we're doing the book. And I'm like, oh, wow, or sometimes she calls me out on stuff like, oh, yeah, remember when you did that? Like, you need to be more forgiving. And I'm like, oh, okay, like
Ouch.
you're right. So I think it's good for parents and children to be vulnerable together, especially in their faith, because I think Christianity can kind of come off like, perfection and like I'm better. And kids can see right through that. Kids are like, well, that's not how and it's like one of those where it's like, let's grow together and let's discuss God's word. Let's discuss how Jesus lived because this is why he wrote it to teach
Mhm.
us how to live. And we're going to fall short, and that's okay. And how can we hold each other accountable and how can we grow? And so for this book, it started with my family, my daughter, and I just felt like there's got to be a way for it to be more engaging. There's got to be a way for it to actually help families. So that's the reason I wrote this one.
I love it. I know I hear a lot of people say, well, how do you start family traditions and how do you, for Christmas especially like this? This is how
Yeah.
you do this Advent Bible study every year, and then it becomes something that they look forward to. And then this
And
is
then hopefully their kids,
exactly, this is something
Yeah.
they can take on to their
Mhm.
children. So let's talk about, because I love that there's like participation, there's you spell it out, which is helpful for busy moms, but you also have like a recipe and questions and activities. So can you spell out a little bit about each, like what you give in each chapter to help
So,
that busy mom and dad?
yes, ma'am. So each chapter comes with a prayer because what I found is that people are not confident in praying. And
Yes.
I feel like that's important because I think kids are looking at us. Okay, if you're not going to pray, I'm not going to pray. And
Hmm.
so, even with my family, my husband was new in his faith and he wasn't as confident. So, I felt like writing a prayer down, like, okay, read this, let's pray over our family. But, it gave him more confidence to say, okay, because sometimes I feel like people are like, I don't know what to say, or it doesn't sound as good, or, they start comparing. And so each chapter starts with an opening prayer, and then it has a memory verse. And so the memory verses, I tried to make them as simple as possible to start off with, especially for kids. My kids already have those memorized, and we're starting to learn more and more. But, you know, the verses can be used in your everyday life. For instance, nothing is impossible with God. Well, how does that apply to your life? Well, if you're struggling with putting a Lego together, well, nothing is impossible with God. Pray about it. Ask God to help. Just little things, that kids can use these verses, like not just say it, but like apply it to your life. And so it has even challenges on that, like write it on a sticky note. And it was so cute because I even went to a friend's house last night, and they have the book, them and their family, and I saw the memory verses on their bathroom mirror, and I was like, oh, love that, yes. And so each chapter has the memory verse, the prayer, and then it goes into fill in the blank questions because I feel like some of these chapters are really long. And when you sit a kid down and you're reading for 10, 15 minutes, and then you're like, let's talk about it, they're like, what? Like, I don't know what we just read. So the fill in the blanks, break up the chapters and kind of summarize the main parts. Like, okay, what did we just read? Let's pause. We just read like a paragraph. Let's pause. And what are the main points, And it's okay if they get it wrong, and I put the answers on there because I feel like sometimes parents are like, oh, well, I don't know the answer
Yeah.
either, I don't know what I just read. So I tried to make it as parent and kid friendly as possible. And then after the chapter, it goes into discussion questions. And so it has a generic main question, and then it has a parent tip. And that parent tip goes over and explains and breaks down what that question is asking, what it means, and just basically to kind of lead and guide your children. Like maybe you didn't know what the question meant. And if you read it beforehand, you could say, okay, hey, this is what this meant. And like, this is how we can answer, the question coming up. So it has the main question, it has the parent tip, and then it has just like mini discussion questions. So those questions can be like used to lead you to the main question. And those just kind of get the discussion started, like for your everyday life. Like in chapter, Luke's my favorite because it's the prayer. Oh, I'm sorry, Luke 11, chapter 11 is my favorite. It's the prayer one. Um, it has many questions like, when do you like to talk to God? Just different things to kind of get the conversation started. And
Hmm.
there, and or what do you usually pray about? And then there's other ones like, why is it hard to forgive? So just little questions that kind of lead you to the main one. And then after the chapter is done, and some of them are long, I think during the Christmas season, it's kind of intimidating, to do this every day. And we start this, honestly, I started in November because it gives me some, grace where I'm like, oh, I
Yeah,
missed today, or I missed, maybe we do 3 times a week instead of, you know,
that's a great idea.
7 days. Yeah, because I tried doing it every day and it was like,
Too much pressure.
oh, it is. And it's like, you can't plan anything.
Yeah.
Especially with little ones, you're like, oh my gosh, have bed and this, and so I would say start early just to give yourself some grace. And then after, and you can split up, there is recipes, there's activities.
That's my favorite part. I love the
Yeah,
recipes.
that's my kid's favorite part. She's like, okay, what's the activity today? And I'm like, well, let's split it. And I split those up too. Some days I'm like, you know what, let's do the activity tomorrow, or let's do the recipe tomorrow, or So day one's my favorite, and it talks about Zechariah, not being able to speak. He was doubting God, and he couldn't talk, and so um, they have a quiet game, Zachariah's quiet game. So something simple as that, like, okay, let's play a quiet game or charades. Like, okay, how do you think Zechariah was for those 9 months? How did he communicate? How did he, what if you had to ask for something? How would you ask for it? And they would have each other act it out. Um, and then it has like angel wings, sugar cookies. And I tried to make these recipes so simple
Yes.
because, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
when we
not
say
basic.
recipes, don't think we're saying, okay, here's your 20 items that you have to go to the
Yeah.
grocery store and buy. It's not like that.
No, it's go buy a pack of sugar cookies, put
Yeah.
them in the oven. And my daughter she looks forward to the angel cookies every year because she knows we get to decorate. We buy the pearls and the glitter gold, just to make them really neat. So those are just some examples. And then it even has a Bible trivia that goes with every 6 chapters. And so if you have older kids, I feel like this one would be a lot more fun. There is some activities, that might be for more of the younger age, but still the recipes and everything like that, you can use all of those. But the Bible trivia is pretty neat too. And it's every 6 chapters, and you can split up into teams and kind of make it like a game night out of it if you wanted to, because my family loves a good game night.
Yes.
So yeah, so I tried to make it engaging and just like where the kids want to do it. Because again, reading is not something that attracts children and, or at
Right.
least older children that I've, worked with. But I really wanted this to be a time to just bring families together and not just be like, I think game nights are great. I think you should get together with your family. I think you should have dinner with your family. But I think putting Jesus in the center of it,
Yes.
in the center of the game, is just so more meaningful
Yeah.
and things that they remember. You know what I mean? They're going to remember that. They're going to remember we have like the little Jesuses that will hide. It's like we're seeking God. And so they will
Yeah.
turn off the lights and have flashlights, and just different fun things like that. But it goes with God and you're talking about him as a family and it's important. Like if the kids see it's important to you, then it's going to be important to them. So
Right.
that's like an average chapter. But again, I don't want to stress moms out or
Yes.
dads
Yeah.
and so I would split it up and because some of those chapters are really long and it's like I remember when we were just reading it straight and it was like,
That's a
oh my
lot.
gosh.
Yeah.
I think it's done. Yes, let's go. Let's move on with it.
Yeah.
So hopefully, and I pray that this really, breaks it up and just gets families talking about God and Jesus and how to live and different fun activities, to do while you're doing that.
Right. You're making it engaging, you're making it fun, and it's something that they'll look forward to. It's not like, okay, we have school all day or pre-K or whatever all day, and then I have to come home and learn something new or I have to
Yeah.
study something. This is making it fun, it's making it family time. It's making something to look forward to. And you're teaching about Jesus in all of it.
Yes. And
So
I feel like, and I know some people, of course, they don't go to church or they don't, they're not in their word, but this is what God has called us to do. Like, this is our
right.
job. It's not the pastor's job. It's not, the children's ministry. And that was hard for me for a while because it was like, oh, well, I'll just send them to church,
Yep.
and I've talked to families that are like, yeah, and I was like, no, I was the same way. Like, I
Hmm.
don't have to talk about it. They learned it Sunday, and as I started getting more into my word, I was like, oh, this is my job,
Right.
like God's gonna hold me accountable for this. And so that's one thing that I'm like, I'm big in, I want heaven to be crowded. I want to, and so if I can help families and, build their confidence, because I think that's what it is. I
Yeah.
think it's a lack of confidence,
Mhm.
and a lack of not knowing, you know. Even my husband, we're still, he's still into his word new and he's like, I don't know as much as you. And I'm like, you don't have to, I don't know everything, you don't
Right.
have to know, like just focus on one thing and learn that and, apply it to your life and then move on to something else. I think the big book just, overwhelms people and
Yes.
it's intimidating. And so
Yeah.
hopefully breaking these up helps.
Definitely. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I know it's the beginning. I know it's the middle of summer and Christmas seems like it's so far off, but in planning, you can de-stress your holidays. So say you bought this book now, right? And then you can start planning through the rest of the year so it's not something that comes upon you. I think you should plan all year for Christmas. It's what I do. That stresses some people out. They're like, "We can't do that. You're crazy." But when the holidays roll around, I'm not
That's it.
stressed because I have everything done, right?
Yeah,
And I think it would be a great idea if you have a mom that you're friends with who has kids and stuff like that, if you got her the book too, and then you guys could do it together or talk about it
yeah,
together with the kids, have them come over, once a week or on the weekend and just be able to talk about what you guys studied all week or do one of the recipes together. Like you could just make it so much fun and really
yeah,
something to look forward to and take a little bit of stress out of the holiday season.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I just think it sounds like so much fun. So what is practical advice do you have for readers who want to focus more on the true meaning of Christmas? Even though we're in the middle of summer, we can plan amidst the commercial holiday rush. Like, how can we focus more?
I think just not stressing so much about it. Like, don't make it like, yes, it's all about Jesus, of course. I think if you'll just see, I think if the kids see me stressed, they're not going to want to do it.
Yes.
Because even my daughter's like, oh, like, take it down.
Yeah.
She doesn't, and I'm like, especially during the holidays, there's family, there's this, there's that. And I really think if you just start early, like
Yes.
we've done this book, and that's the thing, I didn't put Christmas on the book for a reason.
Hmm.
This isn't just for Christmas. If
True.
you wanted to do this in July,
Mhm.
do it in July. Sometimes me and my daughter will pick a chapter and we'll do it, for dinner. And then we'll do the activity, and it doesn't even have to be in order because it just doesn't, it
Right.
doesn't matter which part you read as long as you're reading your word. And, so I think if you even just wanted to start off with the first 12 chapters one year, and then if you really enjoyed it or if you find yourself really stressed out, okay, maybe start sooner, break it up. And like you said, maybe get with a friend
Hmm.
and plan it together like, hey, you host this night and I'll host this, or we'll host together, or, just combining it with somebody. Because I mean, my friends, they've been so supportive, and they'll send me videos of their families and their kids doing it, and it's just the sweetest thing. But I think if you just really make intentional time and just like, hey, this is where I'm going to start, and if you like it, keep going with it you
Yes.
know. But like you said, plan ahead. I'm one of those, my Christmas shopping is done in July. And I
Hmm.
even find gifts in January where I buy them so early and I lose them
Yeah.
because they're, I have to hide them. And I'm like, oh my God, this doll, I found this doll. And, but by October, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done shopping. I'm done. Like, I already have my decor already planned out. November 1st is when I decorate because
Yeah.
again, I love Christmas so much. And, we also do a birthday cake for Jesus,
Hmm.
on Christmas Day, and we sing happy birthday. And, I just think it's so hard nowadays to put Jesus in Christmas, with Santa and with just all the things, the presents,
Yes.
and I think this is just a great way to just be like, hey, let's start with this.
Yeah.
Let's take some time to really go over what Christmas means,
Yeah.
And even though I think kids don't really understand, I think the more that they hear it, like again, this doesn't have to be a one and done book. You can do this every year. I mean, like I said, me and my family, we do it all the time. We'll pick a
Yeah.
random chapter. But yeah, I think that'll help.
Yeah. Let me share with you and with the listener something that I've shared for years and on a show that I used to do. It's the Christmas notebook. Okay. So
Okay.
at the beginning of the year, you just get a composition notebook. You can decorate it with your kids if you want to or anything. And as you buy gifts, you write them down, right?
Nice.
As you
That's right.
figure out, like if you see a recipe you want to do, you can print it out or write it out and put it in the book. And then all year you have that book, you know where the gifts are, you know what you've bought already for who, because a lot of people
Yeah,
laugh. Not how you buy gifts all year because I would not remember because I don't remember. I write them
I
down.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I write them down. You can start planning your dinners if you know kind of what you want to have. It just takes the mental load off because you have everything written down. And you keep that notebook handy all year long. You decorate it really Christmassy and pretty so you know where it is all year long. And then when
Love that.
Christmas rolls around, you're ready. You have the gifts, you can have them wrapped because you can wrap them all year because you have it written down in your notebook, right? It's
Yeah.
very helpful. I had a viewer send me decorate one for me and send it to me, and it was the most awesome gift.
Well, I make journals, so I'm probably going to go home today and
There
make
you
me
go.
a Christmas journal. Yeah, that is
There you
awesome. I've never
go.
thought about that
Very
because my
helpful.
brain, I'll forget probably what we talked about in 20
Yeah,
minutes because that's how my
I
brain
know.
works. Yeah.
There's so much going on. And then when you lay your head down at night, you don't have to think about it because you have it all written down. It's just really takes everything off of your mind. It's great.
Yeah, I like that. So when I have one, I'm going to make
Yep.
me one today.
There you
Design
go.
it.
Okay, the author is Taylor Turner. The book is From Manger to Messiah, an Advent Family Bible Study. Where can listeners find the book?
It's on Amazon and it's on Barnes and Nobles and this is all online. I don't think you can go into the store to Barnes and
Mhm,
Nobles and
mhm.
find it. So everything is online. And there's another book site I can't think of at the top of my head, but those are the two main ones. So Amazon and Barnes and Nobles.
Okay,
Yeah,
wonderful. And then the ministry or the brand is I Noah, Noah Mom. So much fun, so great, great, helpful things that we need just for everyday life. It's great.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Taylor, for your time. Thank you for the book. I'm so excited about it. I don't even have small children anymore, but I'm still gonna go through it this year just to have fun with
Yeah.
it. Make my husband do it with me.
You'll need to email me your address so I can send you a Christmas journal.
Oh, wonderful. I'll do
Yes.
that. Thanks for
Yes.
your time, Taylor.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to Authors Amplified. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and subscribe for more incredible authors next time.